Hey, I'm Maya Ellison. Welcome to the episode. Today we're chasing that weird little jolt that makes you freeze mid-step and whisper, I've been here before. You know the one, Déjà vu?
Picture this. You walk into a rental apartment in a city you've never visited. The light hits the table just so, there's a chipped mug on the counter, a fridge hums, a siren wails distantly, and suddenly your stomach drops. You think, I know this, but you know you've literally been on a plane for 3 hours. Creepy, right?
Yeah.
Let's not go straight to past lives or the Matrix. Hold on. Instead, think of déjà vu as your brain accidentally slapping a familiar sticker onto the present moment. It's not that you're remembering the past. Your brain is misfiring its familiarity detector and labeling the now as if it were a memory.
So how does that work? Imagine your brain as a giant office with 2 key roles. One is the memory creator, the hippocampus, which files episodes, who, what, where, when. The other is the familiarity detector, the Rhinal Cortex, including perirhinal and entorhinal areas, which does a quick, split-second check. Does this pattern look familiar? The familiarity signal is fast and dirty. It doesn't pull up the whole file. It just says, hey, this looks like something we've seen before. And then the hippocampus tries to fetch the full episode to explain why. Most of the time they're in sync, but sometimes the familiarity system fires alone. And that's déjà vu.
Whoa.
There's neat clinical evidence for this. In people with temporal lobe epilepsy, stimulating the rhinal or entorhinal cortices, tiny regions around the hippocampus, can trigger intense déjà vu or dreamy states, even when nothing unusual is happening in the room. That tells us a misfire in those circuits is sufficient to produce the feeling. No mystic portal required.
Interesting.
There are a couple of related theories that helped fill out the picture. One is split perception. You might briefly register a scene unconsciously, then re-register it a fraction of a second later with full attention. The second pass feels like a repeat, so your brain treats the second glance as a memory of the first. Another idea, the present moment can share a bunch of features with many past experiences: lighting, shape, a smell. So the familiarity detector sums those overlaps and says, yep, been there, without an exact episode to point to.
And important nuance, familiarity and recollection are separable. You can feel that something is familiar without actually recalling when you saw it. Neuroscience has even found patients with hippocampal damage who still get déjà vu, which suggests the perirhinal areas can produce the feeling on their own.
I see.
Let's talk frequency. Most adults, around 60 to 80%, report having experienced déjà vu at least once. It's most common in young adults, roughly teens into the 20s. Why? Well, you've built enough memories to make the familiarity system busy. You're encountering lots of new but similar environments, dorm rooms, cafes, airports, and your brain is highly tuned and noticing these glitches.
So if you're 20, congrats! You're in the déjà vu prime time zone.
What about stress and sleep? The science isn't a neat rule, but there are 2 plausible angles. Fatigue, stress, and distractions can destabilize timing and attention, making misfires more likely. At the same time, relaxed, daydreamy states can allow you to notice subtle subjective phenomena. So, do your episodes show up when you're all-nighters stressed, or when you're wandering on vacation? That pattern might tell you something about your brain state when it glitches. Now, for the flip side, ever had the eerie sense that a very familiar thing suddenly looks or sounds wrong? That's jamais vu, literally never seen. The classic experiment, write the word door over and over, say 30 times. Around repetition 25-30, a lot of people report the word looks bizarre, like it's not even a real word anymore. Chris Moulin's work found roughly 2/3 of participants could be pushed into that strange, detached feeling.
Try it, but maybe not while driving.
These 2 experiences, déjà vu and jamais vu, tease apart a key point. Familiarity is constructed.
It's not a direct readout of the world. It's a signal your brain generates. And tiny timing differences or bursts of activity can change how real things feel. In epilepsy patients, abnormal activity in those medial temporal regions produces prolonged, elaborate déjà vu and dreamy states, again showing the mechanism lives in specific circuits.
By the way, people love to layer spiritual or prophetic meaning onto these moments, and I get it, they feel profound. But the neuroscientific story is powerful in its own right. We can trigger déjà vu by stimulating particular brain tissue. We can induce jamais vu in a lab. That doesn't make the experience less meaningful to you, but it does show how the brain constructs the feeling.
Right.
Here's a little metaphor I like. Imagine the Rhinal Cortex is a nightclub bouncer who sometimes shouts, "I know this guy," and waves a scene in before checking the guest list. The Hippocampus is the more careful archivist who actually wants to find the file. Déjà vu is when the bouncer jumps the gun.
Control-R on reality refresh. Insist it's a rerun.
Okay, practical stuff. Engagement challenge. If you're not driving, pick a very common word. Door, house, the. Write it or say it out loud 30 times, fast. Notice if it starts to look or sound weird. If it does, congrats. You've just created a tiny jamais vu. Tell me about it. What word did you pick? Where did it feel weird? Visual? Auditory? Semantic? Also, DM me your weirdest déjà vu story. Were you stressed, traveling, chilled out? I'll read a few in the next episode. So, to wrap up, déjà vu isn't evidence of past lives or time travel. It's your brain's familiarity circuitry momentarily misfiring, which produces that uncanny sense that the present moment is somehow already in your past. And that's strangely reassuring. The eeriness tells us something remarkable. Our sense of reality is actively built by neural circuits, with timing, signals, and even little electrical hiccups shaping how the world feels.
So the next time you freeze and feel like you're inside a rerun, breathe. Your brain is doing something complicated and frankly impressive.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening. Keep noticing the glitches and keep sending the stories.